Introduction. I stand before you today not to give a lesson, but to share a truth. A truth about love, not the kind that asks for perfection, but the kind that whispers, I see you and I choose you anyway. There's a story I've carried with me for years, one that shaped how I understand love. It's not grand or extraordinary by any external measure, but it left an imprint on my soul, a reminder of how love connects us in ways words can barely explain. I was visiting my grandmother during one of her final weeks on this earth. She had lived a full life, the kind of life you can hear in her voice, worn and rich, like an old record playing a familiar tune. Her body was frail, and her words came slow. But her spirit was as vibrant as ever. I remember sitting by her bedside, the smell of lavender faint in the air. She reached out her hand, trembling but intentional, and held mine. For a moment, we didn't speak. There wasn't a need. I looked at her, and she looked at me, and in that gaze was something I'd never felt so clearly before, a love so profound, so unguarded, it felt like the very essence of what it means to be human. Finally, she broke the silence. Her voice was soft but unwavering as she said, "You are my heart, 4 simple words." But in those words, there was a lifetime of stories, of moments shared, of lessons learned and unspoken promises. It wasn't just a statement, it was a gift. In that moment, I realized something I hadn't fully grasped before. Love doesn't demand grandeur. It doesn't ask for declarations shouted from rooftops or gifts wrapped in ribbons. It exists in the quiet moments, in the touch of a hand, in the spaces where words fall short but connection fills the air. That afternoon, as we talked and laughed about old memories, I felt something shift within me. It wasn't just that I loved her, it was the way she made me feel loved that changed me. She saw me not as the person I thought I needed to be, but as I was raw, imperfect, and enough. When she passed, I carried that moment with me. It taught me that love at its core is about being seen. It's about the courage to hold space for another soul, to let them know they matter, and to remind them that even in their quietest, most vulnerable moments, they are worthy of connection. That day with my grandmother wasn't just a memory. It became a truth I live by. Love, when it is real, doesn't just touch our hearts, it reaches into our souls, binds us together, and reminds us that we're never truly alone. Love is often spoken of in terms of emotion, connection, and shared experiences. But at its deepest level, love goes beyond anything we can see or touch. It transcends the physical, reaching into a part of us that feels both eternal and deeply intimate, the soul. The soul is not something we can define with precision. It's the essence of who we are, the part of us that feels beyond explanation, that moves in ways logic cannot. When we truly love, we're not simply appreciating someone's appearance, achievements, or even their presence. We're connecting to that intangible, unchanging part of them, their core, their spirit, their soul. Love at this level is transformative because it doesn't just interact with who we are on the surface. It doesn't stop at what's visible or obvious, it sees what lies beneath. When someone loves us in this way, they touch the parts of us we often keep hidden, the parts we might even struggle to understand ourselves. It's as if they're saying, I see you, all of you, and I love you not in spite of it, but because of it. This kind of love doesn't fade with time or distance. It's not confined to physical presence or fleeting emotions. It's why we can feel connected to someone who is far away, why we carry the essence of those we've lost long after they're gone. The love that touches the soul doesn't depend on proximity or constant reminders it exists as a quiet, enduring force, as much a part of us as breath or heartbeat. And in loving another at this level, we often come to understand ourselves better. Love becomes a mirror. In the act of seeing another soul so clearly, we begin to see our own. We recognize our vulnerabilities, our fears, our hopes. We realize that love is not about perfection, it's about authenticity. The soul doesn't strive for flawlessness, it seeks truth, connection, and meaning. This is why love is so profoundly healing. When it reaches the soul, it assures us that we are more than our mistakes, more than the labels the world places on us. It tells us that we are valued for who we are at our core, not for what we produce or how we present ourselves. Love is one of the most beautiful experiences we can have, but it is also one of the most demanding. To truly love requires courage, a deep, unshakable bravery that allows us to step into vulnerability and risk the unknown. Love asks us to be seen not as polished versions of ourselves, but as we truly are, flaws and all. It also asks us to see others in the same way, to embrace their humanity with open hearts, even when it's uncomfortable or frightening. Being seen is not easy. It's an act of surrender, a willingness to let down our guard and let someone into the tender, unguarded spaces of our lives. It means showing parts of ourselves we might rather hide, the insecurities, the mistakes, the fears we work so hard to cover up. We live in a world that often rewards perfection and performance, so allowing someone to see our imperfections feels like a risk. But love doesn't grow in the places we shield, it grows in the spaces where we are honest. Seeing someone else fully is no less courageous. It requires us to accept that people are not perfect, and they will never fit neatly into the boxes we might create for them. Loving someone in their entirety means embracing their messiness, their complexities, and their struggles. It's choosing to look past the surface and into the depth of who they are, even when that means facing uncomfortable truths or grappling with their pain alongside them. Love also demands the courage to face uncertainty. There are no guarantees in love, no promises that we won't be hurt, disappointed, or let down. Choosing to love is choosing to step into a realm where we have no control, where the outcome is unknown. And yet, despite this uncertainty, love calls us to give ourselves fully, to risk heartbreak because the reward of connection is worth it. Perhaps the greatest courage of all, though, is the courage to stay. Love is not a fleeting emotion, it is a choice we make again and again. It's easy to love in moments of joy and ease, but real love shows itself in the harder times, in conflict, in struggle, in doubt. It's in those moments that courage matters most, the courage to listen, to forgive, to grow, and to remain present when it would be easier to turn away. Love has a way of holding up a mirror to our souls, reflecting back parts of ourselves that we might not have noticed or understood. In loving another, we come face to face with our own truths, our fears, strengths, insecurities, and potential. It's a journey of self-discovery that can be as illuminating as it is challenging. When we open our hearts to someone, we inevitably reveal ourselves in ways we might not have intended. Love draws out our deepest desires, the things we long for but are too afraid to ask for. It also exposes the walls we've built to protect ourselves, walls we may not even realize are there until someone tries to step closer. These moments can be uncomfortable, even frightening, but they are also opportunities for growth. Through love, we see our capacity for compassion and generosity. We recognize how deeply we can care for another person, how much we are willing to give without expecting anything in return. At the same time, love reveals where we fall short, where we struggle to let go of control, to forgive, or to trust. It shows us the parts of ourselves that still need healing, the wounds we've carried silently, but that surface when we let someone get too close. Loving another also challenges us to confront our vulnerabilities. When someone sees us clearly without pretense, it forces us to question the masks we wear. Are we presenting ourselves authentically, or are we hiding behind an image of who we think we should be? The courage to let someone see us as we are, to stand in our imperfection and still be loved, can be profoundly liberating. At the same time, the mirror of love works both ways. As we see ourselves more clearly, we also begin to understand the impact we have on those we love. Love challenges us to be better, not out of obligation, but because we want to rise to meet the connection we found. It inspires us to grow, to heal, and to bring our best selves to the relationship. Love, in its truest form, is never about perfection. It's not a flawless, polished experience. It's a beautifully imperfect journey shared between two equally imperfect people. The idea of love as a perfect fairy tale ideal is comforting but ultimately untrue. What makes love profound and meaningful is not its perfection, but its ability to thrive amidst imperfection. In every relationship, there are moments of miscommunication, frustration, and hurt. These moments don't define failure. They are simply part of being human. We all carry our own scars, insecurities, and past experiences into our relationships. These flaws don't make us unworthy of love, they make us real. To love someone is to accept the whole of who they are, not just the parts that are easy to love. This acceptance is what gives love its depth. It's one thing to love someone when everything is going smoothly, but it's another to love them through their struggles, mistakes, and imperfections. True love is a commitment to see beyond the surface, to hold space for another person's humanity, and to choose them even when it's not easy. And in that mutual acceptance, something extraordinary happens. We come to see that imperfection is not something to be feared or avoided, it's what makes love rich and layered. When we stop chasing an unattainable ideal, we make room for authenticity. We begin to cherish the quirks, flaws, and unique qualities that make our relationships one of a kind. This doesn't mean that love excuses harmful behavior or ignores the need for growth. On the contrary, it is precisely because we are imperfect that love calls us to grow. It invites us to reflect on our actions, to learn from our mistakes, and to strive to become better for the sake of the relationship. Love doesn't demand perfection, but it does encourage progress. What's more, imperfection teaches us patience and forgiveness. It reminds us that love is not about keeping score or expecting our partner to meet every expectation. It's about learning to navigate challenges together, finding strength in each other's support, and growing closer through the process. Ultimately, love is not about creating a perfect relationship, it's about embracing the imperfect one you have. It's about recognizing that wholeness is not the absence of flaws, but the presence of connection, trust, and mutual respect. And in the end, it's these imperfect, messy, beautifully human relationships that make life truly meaningful. At its core, love is the ultimate expression of connection and belonging. It is the profound experience of being seen, heard, and valued for who we truly are. In love, we find a home, not a physical space, but a sanctuary within another person where we can rest, be vulnerable, and know that we are enough. To belong is one of the deepest needs of the human soul. From the moment we are born, we seek connection. We look for it in the eyes of our parents, in the laughter of friends, and in the bonds we create throughout our lives. Belonging is not just about being part of a group or sharing space with others. It's about feeling that we matter, that our presence makes a difference, and that who we are at our core is accepted without condition. Love fulfills this need in a way nothing else can. When we love and are loved, we experience the rare and beautiful gift of being known. True love doesn't shy away from the complexities of who we are, it steps closer. It listens to the stories we're afraid to tell, holds space for our pain, and celebrates our joys as if they were its own. Love says, I see you, I hear you, you are enough. This kind of connection is transformative because it allows us to shed the masks we wear in the outside world. In love, we don't have to pretend to be stronger, smarter, or more together than we are. We can show up with our vulnerabilities and trust that they will be met with understanding rather than judgment. Love creates a safe haven where we can lay down the weight of our fears and simply be. But love as belonging is not a one-sided experience. It thrives in reciprocity. Just as we long to be seen, we are also called to see the other person, to truly hear them, value them, and make them feel at home in our presence. This mutual recognition creates a bond that is unshakable, a connection that feels as though it exists not just in the present, but in the timeless fabric of the soul. Love reminds us that we are never truly alone. It assures us that no matter how disconnected we might feel from the world, there is a place where we belong. In being loved, we find the courage to love ourselves. And in offering love, we create a sense of belonging not only for others, but for ourselves as well. Love has a unique way of opening our hearts and minds, inviting us to see the world through someone else's eyes. It is one of the greatest teachers of empathy, compelling us to step outside of our own experiences and into the shoes of another. When we truly love, we are no longer the sole focus of our thoughts. Instead, we become deeply invested in understanding the feelings, needs, and perspectives of the person we cherish. Empathy is more than sympathy or compassion. It's not simply feeling for someone, it's feeling with them. Love calls us to move beyond the surface, to listen not just to words, but to the unspoken emotions behind them. It teaches us to ask, how does this person feel? What do they need? How can I meet them where they are, not where I expect them to be? In this way, love breaks down barriers. It helps us realize that our world is not the only one, that the lens through which we see life is just one of many. It challenges us to broaden our perspective, to acknowledge that another person's joys, fears, and struggles are as valid and important as our own. This is a humbling and transformative realization. Empathy and love is not always easy. It requires patience and a willingness to set aside our own assumptions and judgments. There will be times when understanding the other person feels difficult, when their emotions or actions seem confusing or even frustrating. But love pushes us to dig deeper, to stay curious rather than defensive, and to seek connection instead of division. Through this process, love also helps us understand ourselves better. In seeing someone else's humanity, we become more attuned to our own. Their struggles might mirror our own insecurities, or their joys might remind us of what truly matters. Love teaches us that empathy is not just about giving, it is also about receiving. When someone takes the time to step into our shoes, to see the world from our perspective, we feel deeply valued and understood. Perhaps the greatest gift of empathy and love is the way it strengthens connection. When we feel seen and understood, it creates a bond that words cannot fully capture. Empathy builds trust, nurtures intimacy, and fosters a sense of safety. It reminds us that love is not about fixing or saving another person, but about walking beside them, sharing their journey, and honoring their unique experience of the world. True love is not a stagnant force, it is dynamic, constantly evolving, and it has the power to inspire growth in both individuals and relationships. At its best, love is a catalyst for personal transformation, encouraging us to become better versions of ourselves while fostering mutual growth within the bond we share with another. When we love someone, we are invited to grow alongside them not just as partners, but as individuals. Love doesn't just ask us to show up and give, it challenges us to dig deeper, to question old habits, to confront our weaknesses, and to embrace change. It encourages us to reach higher, to strive for more, not because we are lacking, but because we are inspired to live with purpose and intention. In a loving relationship, we begin to see parts of ourselves that we might have otherwise ignored or buried. Love brings out our potential, our capacity for patience, understanding, and compassion. It encourages us to step outside of our comfort zones, to confront fears, and to push through boundaries we've set for ourselves. Sometimes love reveals qualities within us that we never knew existed, strength we didn't realize we had, resilience we never recognized, or a sense of purpose that motivates us to grow in ways we didn't think possible. But the growth love fosters is not limited to one person. True love is a mutual journey. As we encourage each other to grow individually, we also grow together. Relationships thrive when both people are committed to evolving, learning, and becoming the best versions of themselves, both as individuals and as a couple. Love becomes a mirror, reflecting not just who we are, but who we have the potential to become. This growth may not always be easy. It often involves difficult conversations, uncomfortable moments, and hard decisions. Love pushes us to confront our flaws, to work through conflicts, and to find ways to compromise, all of which require vulnerability and courage. But it's in these challenges that growth truly happens. The struggles become the soil in which the seeds of change are planted. Moreover, the growth inspired by love is not just about overcoming obstacles or improving ourselves. It's about becoming more deeply connected, learning to understand and support each other in ways that make us stronger together. When we grow in love, we find new depths of compassion, new ways to communicate, and new ways to share in each other's dreams and aspirations. True love fosters a growth that is both individual and collective, pushing us to be better for ourselves and for one another. It is in this shared growth that love becomes its most powerful and transformative force, helping us to evolve into the best versions of who we are meant to be. Gratitude is a quiet yet powerful force, one that often grows with time, especially in the context of love. When we find someone who truly resonates with our soul, the sense of gratitude that fills our hearts can be overwhelming. It's not just about appreciating their presence in our lives, it's about recognizing the deep, undeniable connection that transcends the everyday. It's a profound awareness that in a world of billions, we have found someone who understands us on a level beyond words, who shares our values, our dreams, and who accepts us completely, imperfections and all. To feel this kind of resonance with another person is a gift. It is as if two souls, each on their own journey, have somehow aligned in a perfect moment of time. the way their energy complements yours, the way they see the world in a way that mirrors your own experiences and emotions, feels like a rare treasure. In their presence, you feel seen not just for what you do or how you appear, but for who you truly are. They understand you at your core, and this understanding fosters a deep sense of safety and connection. This kind of love often brings with it a sense of gratitude that goes beyond the ordinary. It is the gratitude of having found someone who feels like home, someone whose heart beats in sync with yours. There is an appreciation for the way they show up for you, the way they listen, and the way they hold space for your vulnerabilities. It's in the quiet moments, in shared glances or simple touches, that the depth of this gratitude truly shows itself. You don't have to say much to communicate your thankfulness. It's felt in every shared smile, every comforting word, and every gesture of care. Gratitude for love also grows as we reflect on how transformative it is. The person who resonates with our soul not only makes us feel valued, they also challenge us to grow, to become better versions of ourselves. They inspire us to see life through a different lens, to push beyond our limits, and to embrace parts of ourselves we may have kept hidden. Their love nurtures us, encourages us, and lifts us up in ways that words can hardly express. Ultimately, finding someone who resonates with your soul is an experience that fills you with a sense of wonder and thankfulness. It's a reminder that love is not just a feeling, but a deep connection that transcends the physical and touches the very essence of who we are. And in that connection, there's a quiet but profound gratitude, one that reminds us that we are never truly alone, and that the beauty of life is found in the love we share with others. Love is not always easy to put into words. It's a complex dance of vulnerability and strength, of giving and receiving, of being seen and seeing others in return. But there is something profoundly beautiful about loving authentically, about letting go of the masks we wear and simply allowing ourselves to be who we are. To love authentically is to embrace the truth of our hearts, to offer not a perfected version of ourselves, but the raw, imperfect, yet beautiful reality of our being. In love, we are vulnerable. We open ourselves to another person, allowing them to see the parts of us we keep hidden, the scars, the fears, the hopes, and the uncertainties. It is an act of courage, of stepping into the unknown and trusting that the other person will hold our heart with care. In those moments of raw vulnerability, we may fear rejection or disappointment. But it's in this space that true connection is forged. Love that is real and unguarded is the kind that grows, that stands strong even in the face of challenges. Yet in love, there is also strength. It's the strength to be there for someone else, to support them when they need it most, and to offer a steady presence even when things are uncertain. It's the strength to confront our own fears, to grow together, and to rise above the struggles that life inevitably brings. In love, we find resilience not just in our own hearts, but in the shared strength of the relationship. Together, we are capable of more than we could ever be alone. But perhaps the most important aspect of love is connection, the deep, unspoken bond that exists between two people who are fully present for each other. This connection is not just physical or intellectual, it is something that transcends the surface and touches the soul. It is the quiet understanding that exists in the spaces between words, in the moments when no explanation is needed. It's in the way two people can share a glance and know exactly what the other is thinking, in the shared silences that speak volumes. It's in the trust that exists, the unshakable belief that no matter what, you are there for each other, not because of what you can give, but because of who you are together. To close with authenticity is to say that love is not perfect, but it is real. It is a mixture of moments of brilliance and moments of struggle. It is laughter and tears, growth and setbacks, closeness and space. But through it all, it is genuine. It is an expression of who we are when we let go of all the pretenses and simply choose to be ourselves in our entirety with someone who loves us for that very truth. That is the beauty of authentic love. It is not just a feeling, it is a way of being strong, vulnerable, and deeply connected. In the end, love is not about perfection, it's about embracing the fullness of who we are, our strengths, our flaws, our vulnerabilities. It is a profound force that calls us to grow, to understand, and to be present with one another in ways that transcend the superficial. True love teaches us empathy, reveals our own capacity for strength. and creates connections that go far beyond what words can capture. It invites us to be seen, to step into the shoes of others, and to celebrate the imperfect beauty of being human. In loving authentically, we not only find belonging, but also the courage to embrace our true selves and grow together, hand in hand, through life's most meaningful moments. And so I close with this truth: love is not a destination. It is the journey of two souls walking side by side, choosing each other every single day. Thank you.